Hi everybody, and welcome back to the studio. It's a sunny spring day, so we're inside the studio and we're painting. And today we're doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I have my stretched canvas, but instead of using a white gesso or a black gesso like we sometimes do, we have light blue gesso. And I think this is the first time this has ever been done before. I don't think Bob Ross has ever done it, or William Alexander. And on top of that, I just have the liquid white. And the reason for the liquid blue is we're going to be doing some kind of magical runes, and I want to be able to cut through some of my oil paint and get that nice blue color to shine through, so it's like ice magic. So just go over the whole thing with the liquid white. And I can set this down and I can pick up my palette and my brushes. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to take a big brush and I'm just going to lightly tap into some phthalo blue, and a little bit midnight black, just a little bit. Mostly blue, a little bit of black, just to gray it down. Phthalo blue is really strong. And I'm going to start off in the corners. I'm just going to wiggle around. Nothing particular. But leaving some white stuff. Those white stuffs are going to be super easy clouds for us. Something like that. You can tap things in too to soften it up. And with a clean brush, I'm just going to start to blend all this together. Using just really the corner of the brush. It feels like scrubbing. It's not super delicate. Letting little shapes come up. You sort of want a cold, wintry sky. I think the colder, the better for this one. Okay. Next, just going to take a fan brush and just go into titanium white, both sides, and just sort of really go in with it. I like to do clouds mostly with the fan brush because I find its shape just really allows for a high level of variation and just natural randomness that you just don't get with another brush, especially when you're twisting it and turning it, bending it. You get, really unique cloud shapes that you wouldn't really get otherwise. Make sure you leave some of the spots white, completely white, because that'll be really bright. There we go, that looks nice up there. Good. Then, one more clean brush. I'll lightly sort of pick up the white into the blue. Sort of fluff up the clouds, make them wispy. And then with a new brush, I'm going to get a brand new brush. There's a brand new brush. This brush was a gift. My boss picked it up at a hardware store to paint some stuff at the school. And he didn't realize it was a really good artist brush. So I asked for it and he gave it to me. And this brush should really help sort of blend that sky. Just really gently. Next, we're going to put in a mountain. So we're going to take phthalo blue, Prussian blue, midnight black, Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson, basically all the dark colors that we always use. Mix them up pretty good. Pull down, little roll of paint, and put our mountain up here. Mostly just only interested in just the top part of our mountain. Try hard not to just do a triangle mountain. That's pretty good. And with a nice brush, I'm going to pull that paint down, following the contour of a mountain the way you see it. This will really help lay down your mountain and help you know where to put the snow. If you know where the snow goes, it's a big help. Okay, that looks good to me. Take the same brush or same palette knife, and we're going to go into titanium white. Go down flat, a little roll. Start gently adding snow to the mountain. And if you're not lucky enough to live somewhere where I do, where we're surrounded by mountains, and you want to take a look at some mountains, just get on the internet. It's a lot more convenient these days. And, you know, study the mountains, see how they look. But of course, you're always free to use your imagination. Next, I'm going to take some Prussian blue, and I'm just going to add it to that same color, just to make it a little bit darker. Leaving it marbled, go down straight, go cut. Where the shadows are. Nice time to really focus and think about what you're doing. There we go. Go off into nothing. There's a nice mountain. And then we're going to start tapping down near the base of the mountain. Clean off your brush if you need to. And just tap it, and that's just going to give us this little nice misty area. And that's going to help separate our different layers. This painting's going to need some layers, I think. It's going to have a few layers in it for what I want to do. When you're done, take the brush really lightly. Pick it up. Follow the layout of your mountain. And just blend it out as softly as you want. Blow on it. That doesn't do anything. Okay. Let's go into that mountain color we just had, or sorry, the dark blue highlight color. Let's use that one. And start here and push up just a little bit. Maybe a little bit darker. Or a little bit more, I should do. And really just flick it up, bend it, and that's going to give you this little trees effect. Very gently, pick it up just a millimeter or so. And you have all these trees that just sort of magically come out of nowhere. And then tap out the bottom. Clean off your brush too for tapping. Let's do that again, one more round, but this time more Prussian blue and black. Just getting darker. Make sure you save that mist. That mist is your separator. similar process. Just pick it up just a little bit. More little trees, but they're still far away. They can't be this big yet. This time I'm going to tap it down with a cleaner brush. Maybe use the corner of that big brush. I told you that'd be a good brush. Okay, good. Next, I want to use a fan brush for this. I'm going to go into black, Prussian blue, little sap green. Maybe some Van Dyke brown, but very, very dark. It's really important to me that this next layer is quite dark. And I'm just going to push down and make trees. Pushing down with the sharp edge of my brush. Some areas will be tall, some areas will be short. The important thing is that it's dark. And connected. If they're too far apart, just come back in and just connect it. Now we're starting to get to the point in the painting where we can probably see a few distinct trees, so let's just put one in here. Maybe just a few tall ones leading off into the distance. They're not going to get any highlight, they're too far away. Nice to put one in the corner, keep it dark. Down here, we're just going to do some of this. So tap off the bottom. Grass. Now this is a very wintry scene in my mind. So I'm just going to go into the titanium white. It's the same brush I started off putting the liquid white on at the beginning. Just put in the snow. And I especially do want to pick up some of the color from underneath those trees. Next, we're going to do a little bit of an underpainting. Because in my mind, there's a river here. I'm just going to sort of scrub in. It's going to end up being a waterfall, as you saw. Just sort of push that in. Something like that. I don't know where it ends. Next is going to be clean fan brush. I'm going to use some of that liquid white just to thin my paint a little bit. And I want to get here. I'm just going to go with the white. There's waterfall. We don't know where it goes or what it does, but there's a waterfall there now. And we're just sort of going to close that waterfall in. So let's go back to that original mountain color we had. And just add in sort of a rocky outcropping. Something like that. Think about individual shapes in this rock. Make sure the edge is pretty well defined. It goes up like that. So just use your knife to texture it. We can add some snow to this rock. You don't need to worry about the bottom of it too much, it's there. So that'd be a really nice place for a little thin tree. Tiny bit of brush thinner. Go into that dark color we used before. Push harder as you get down. There. Back to the blue. Back to that nice blue. More underpainting here, because we don't want it just to look like rocks. There. Now it's a little bit easier to see what we're looking at. Sometimes that's a trick, is if you're working towards something and you can't quite see it yet, you don't have to keep going. You can stop, add a few other things, and continue your work. Let's add another tree going right here. When you get to that rock, you're gonna have to go hard. And to make that tree really stand out, we're gonna have to give it some highlight. Let's go into that white brush that we have. Give him some highlights. Not bad. Keep working with that snow. There, I think that's a more natural slope for that. Not bad. Let's just brighten that up. Just a little bit. Not bad. Now when it comes to this part of the waterfall, maybe that would be a good place for our first rock. So our rocks are going to be done. I think I want them smooth. So I'm going to use the fan brush. A bit more phthalo in there. We'll leave that for now, but now you can see how the waterfall is completely contained. Let's go to the back. Let's just start putting in some snow. If we touch the rune, it's going to be okay. In fact, it's fine. Probably should have put the rune in later, but it's okay. I'm just really paying attention to the lay of the land and the path I want people to take. That's not a mistake. It might look like a mistake, but it's not. There's no such things as mistakes. There. I can see a few more things. Imagination training. That's all painting is. It's just imagination training. This obviously continues up and over. Okay. And there's another rune, maybe. Here. another one right here. It's like an oval. When you make these, and you'll see later, but make sure you make them large enough to write on. And let's put another large one right here. Okay. Now, oh, and let's fix this guy up here. Alright, so we'll start with the runes furthest in the back. So the first thing we need to do is we really need to think about where the light is coming from. So because of our mountain, the light's coming like this. We're going to go into some darker color and just start adding shadow back. We can actually do this with all of them while we still have that one color on our brush. And the shadows will actually get lighter and lighter if you do it this way, which is exactly what you kind of want. Blend the shadows. The other thing is there's also going to be a bit of a light side to them. So take a lighter brush and almost do the same thing, but just on the edge. They're going to start to look a little bit more 3D. You can blend those edges, but at this point you really should be using a totally clean brush. Especially if the goal is to get something smooth. Don't overblend it either. Now in my mind, it probably just snowed. So I'm going to take my knife, and because there's actually quite a bit of paint buildup on these rocks, I've got to lay it down kind of heavy. Starting with the closest rune, just going to go to the top, and it's just like doing the mountain. Don't do it too much, because you'll lose the bright white color. See if I can. This one's a little bit weird, but it's okay. Not bad. You get the idea that there's some snow on there. Try to fix this one up just a little bit more. Yeah, that's much better. So I might give them all that look. Hard look. Not bad. Now we're going to really focus now going from the furthest one back. So this is just liquid white. And I'm just going to, like I did there, just take the liquid white and just sort of catch the bottom of it and then sort of blend it out. Blend it softly. Same thing here. Liquid white. Follow the land. Blend it out softly. Right there. Blend it out softly. And then the last one. And blend it out softly. Okay. Now it's a little unrealistic that in nature, if you had something growing up like this, that nothing would try to grow underneath it. So we just push out little grass. A little upward push. Actually, in this one, I think there might be a little bit more growth. Quite big and it's near a waterfall, so that's going to supply lots of growth. So I'm just going to stamp in some dark shapes on this one. Maybe a small tree. That we can then highlight. You can also highlight those. Put in some sticks. I use just a nice thin brush, dark color. Always looking for opportunities for contrast. For example, right in front of that waterfall. Nice. Might actually do a little bit more up here. Here's some bushes too. Since it worked so well. Now, of course, we need to have a big tree to sort of tie this whole thing together. So, all the dark colors, Prussian blue, all that. I'm just going to sort of start pushing in, stamping. More accurately, stamping than anything. Highlight that. A big white brush. Actually, before we do that, we gotta put some bones in the tree. So take Van Dyke brown, dark umber, mix them up. Brush, fan brush. Nice and dark. Push harder as you get to the bottom. A lot of it gets covered. Take a thin liner brush. Mine's getting old, it needs to be replaced badly, but it'll do in a pinch. And actually, let's take the knife and just really texture out this tree. So we haven't done it too much lately, but if you can start off with a pretty big pile of paint and just start sort of dolloping it on there, and just loading on layers and layers of it, using this sort of dashing movement, and start to add texture to the tree. when the oil paint dot dries, you can come back in later and actually just touch it with your hands. It's also a great chance for you to sort of mix your colors. And this is a thing that I'm aware of that only oil paint seems to be able to do effectively. We can go into some phthalo blue. It's a very nice shadow color on trees. Because it's somehow warm and cold at the same time. Likewise, we can even go into some of this other color we used for some highlights. And we can texture that tree all day. The point is, we can do it. Okay, now let's do the highlights. So big brush, only some places. Just with the white. Don't destroy all the dark spots. And be very careful when you go over any of those places that you really layered heavy with the brown, because it will mix on your brush and you'll get brown snow. And I heard that's not good. Beat off your brush just to keep it nice. Be careful if you do go over it. You can do it a little, but don't push your luck. That's the bottom there. Now, let's put our palette down. Clean off your knife really, really well. Now, unfortunately, I'm not an expert in Nordic, so I wrote some things that I wanted to put on each of these. And so what should happen is if you carve through the oil paint, that blue we started out at the beginning will show through. So the first one is going to say strength. So that's going to go down. A little bit difficult. And it should look like you carved it in. If you want to thicken it up, and I think I do, you can just double up your lines. But using the point of the knife seems to work best. So there's the rune for strength. The next one is going to say protection. This one, let's see, journey. last one up here. I'm going to say joy. Because I'm wishing you guys strength and protection on your journeys. I'm going to see if I can thicken this one right up. The strength rune should be the strongest, right? I think that works. A little bit hard to see. We can take the knife, go in with some white, and just sort of edge out this one by touching it. That might help. Alright. Thank you very much for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. It really helps the studio grow and helps me make these videos for you guys. Thank you so much for your support.